You've probably used traders a few times in Abiotic Factor, but it's easy for some valuable trades to go unnoticed. So let's take a look at each trader and see which trades I personally found very useful. For starters, let's talk about Warren and security. You may have grabbed an employee locator from him very early on in the game and then basically just forgotten about this guy. But this stapler trade is actually pretty good. Staplers are useful throughout the whole game, particularly for things like the projection matrices, and getting antefish fillet is pretty easy. So this is a pretty good way to get staplers if you don't have enough yourself. Then of course I would point out you can also get the gate security key here. If you're wandering by gate security crates and wondering where to get the key, this is the spot. Otherwise, I didn't find these other trades particularly useful. Grayson here is unlocked by bandaging him outside Manufacturing West and will offer you different ammo types. I personally and sadly didn't realize you had to bandage him until after I beat the game, but if you're in a pinch for ammo, you might go for it. Of course, we also have the Blacksmith in Manufacturing West, arguably the most important trader in the game. Pretty quickly you learn to trade reinforced hoses for optic lens, or maybe even spare military electronics for the steel cables necessary to craft reinforced hoses. But you can also grab this fiber optic cable and use it to craft a healing briefcase, which I personally found to be really useful. Then something you may not have noticed is this anvil trade, not for the anvil, but to scrap the anvil into metal scrap. You get 20 scrap for each anvil and you pretty quickly end up with more security bot CPUs than you need. It's also easy to grow Anteverse Wheat, which can be traded for hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is used in a few things like digital gold and water filters. Then I personally never needed rebar, but it is easy to get anomalies by running around at night with test tubes and snagging them. And let's not forget this oddball Marion, who you originally find in Flathead and starts wandering around after you unlock Manufacturing West. If you haven't already grabbed a gravity dampener, you definitely should because it's a fun item. But I'd also pay attention to this reinforced hose trade. Reinforced hoses are super useful and you use them all the time. And you may have an excess amount of tiny gears if you've been farming pocket watches in the train like I recommend in my farm locations video. Now of course Marion only holds 4 of these each time you encounter him, so be sure to grab them each time. And if you keep farming Flathill, you're likely to have a few extra Symphonous heads laying around, and if so, be sure to grab a few porcelain keys so that when you find those crates, you can open them up. Then I'd say apart from the shotgun, I don't think these other trades are all that interesting unless you really need pens, in which case trading syringes for them is not so bad. You've also got Dr. Carson, who I originally met in the kitchen area of the Cascade Laboratories, but you can get her to appear by your chef's counter with the Chefage upgrade. Of course, it's useful to pick up these 2 seeds, particularly that Xanthurium rice seed, because it's really useful to mass produce a bunch of food. But I would point out this Carson family cookbook. It's not immediately obvious, but when this is placed near you, you'll generate 50% extra XP for cooking. So this is a must-have for anyone looking to level up their cooking skill. This next one is a bit weird. There's actually a larva trader located in the encroachment found in the Manufacturing West mines. You have to be wearing a larva suit to trade with it, and I don't think the trades are all that interesting unless you really need bait, but it is a bit unique. This next one is similar, appearing in the fragments section of the residence sector after you beat the game. Jimmy here can trade you tacos and some cosmetics. I don't have them here, but the cosmetics take a bad soda or a shadowberry milkshake to get. Then finally, after you beat the game, you unlock Dr. Thule. Dr. Thule has some pretty good trades given these are just mugs of coffee, but it is after you beat the game so you may not be so interested. I tried to keep this short and punchy, so if you appreciated that, let me know by liking or subscribing. Thank you and I'll see you in the next one.